Hi, my name is Avery Allen, and my capstone project is titled The Answers You Seek Can Be Found at the Library Libraries as a Tool for Navigating the Age of AI. In 2025, the Chicago Sun-Times released a list of summer reading recommendations. This list included Tidewater Dreams by Isabel Allende, Migrations by Maggie O'Farrell, and The Rainmakers by Percival Everett. While those authors might sound familiar to you if you're an avid reader, the books themselves don't exist. Out of the 15 books recommended, 10 of them were completely fabricated using AI. This is just one example of how AI usage can lead to the proliferation of misinformation. As people become more reliant on AI as a source of knowledge, how can we be certain that the information provided is reliable? And how do we navigate an information landscape that is rife with misinformation? To address these concerns, I created the research question: how is AI impacting the validation of knowledge, and how are libraries responding to teach AI literacy? I broke down my research question into three sub-questions to guide my research. The first question being, how has AI gained ethos as a source of information? The second question, how is AI disrupting the validation of knowledge? And the third question, how are libraries responding? To expand on this project, I think it would be really interesting to consider whether or not there is a correlation between library attendance and AI usage. This could be done through collecting data regarding whether or not frequent AI users are more or less likely to utilize library resources. I think further research would be important to continue to examine the efficacy of library programs dedicated to AI literacy. Thank you.
AI use is more prevalent than ever. From January to May of 2025, the amount of high school students reporting that they use AI increased from 79 to 84%. As AI tools such as ChatGPT become more normalized in education, students are able to instantly create polished work. This raises the question of what happens when learning no longer includes struggle. Research shows that learning is not always about perfection and getting the right answer the first time around. Learning follows the process of struggling, making mistakes, and improving over time. My name is Yasmin Awad, and this is AI in Education, reshaping students' relationship with failure, feedback, and learning. AI reduces students' productive struggle by allowing them to skip trial and error learning. By using AI to generate instant and correct answers, students are limiting the cognitive effort needed for deeper understanding of key concepts. Studies show that while AI does improve efficiency, it may reduce critical thinking and long term learning. An essential part of the learning process is communication between students and teachers. As students submit perfectly polished work generated by AI, instructors are not able to provide feedback, lowering its value. This leads to students being less likely to revise work or gain experience with constructive criticism. Students' ability to be receptive to feedback, whether provided by an instructor, AI, or parent, is critical for long term development and social skills. The use of AI encourages students to develop a performance based mindset and place value on correct answers rather than actual learning. This reduces students' comfort with failure and limits their ability to grow through challenges rather than give up. An AI integration into the education system is inevitable. Future research should be focused on how this integration can be done without sacrificing the struggle and feedback that make learning
The
meaningful.
use of words such as delve and meticulous are up 51% more frequently than in the 3 years prior due to the impact of AI. This loss of individuality and diversity within language choice hints at an increasing vulnerability to linguistic culture as a whole. This growing issue has led me to question what AI has been trained to replicate from U.S. linguistic culture and how this has affected the language choices and experiences of those using AI within the United States. My name is Allie Bain, and this is How Artificial Intelligence is Reshaping the Individual Voice and Human Identity: AI's Impact on U.S. Linguistic Culture. The choice of language in a user's prompt dictates exactly what cultural nuances AI is supposed to pick up on through applied sentiment labels, for example, positive, negative, or neutral. This means that whatever biases AI has been trained to pick out based on user language choices are then reflected back regardless of the individual's true thoughts or feelings. This biased information presented to AI users impacts them greatly. One study found that when separated into two groups, the readers of AI summaries with a conservative slant reported more conservative opinions than readers of the summaries with a more liberal framing, who then expressed more liberal opinions. This case then alludes not just to the problem of AI impacting individual word choices, but the way that AI is shifting the entirety of US linguistic culture. All of these outward impacts on language and culture are just the surface of what we can see, which is exactly why many researchers are left wondering what the future impacts of AI will have on the human brain and how that will be translated through linguistic culture. Thank you.
What makes AI so appealing to the masses, and why is it overshadowed by the unique human capabilities such as love and experience? The importance of this study is to understand how AI poses a threat to human creativity. These specific aspects, such as love and experience, show the depth of human intricacies that we don't see in AI. This is a growing concern in the world since people have become so reliant on AI. I wanted to examine the need for where this type of dependency stems from. My way to examine it is through the medium of poetry, since it's an important form of human expression that AI can only mimic or mirror but never truly create. For one of my poems, I used the genre free verse, which is an open form of poetry that follows the regular rhythm of speech. The inspiration for the theme was inspired by human love in contrast to AI's version of love. A line from the poem titled Mindless Codes is there are no data breaks or coding that can compile the words I want to say next. This line stood out to me because it's very human to have fallibility, especially when falling in love, and I wanted to show how humans tend to not have a code set up to allow them to be perfect like AI. I want to explore that with my other theme of human experience, in contrast to AI, along with the use of these four genres in order to explore these concepts and identify the differences between AI and human capabilities.
Hello, my name is Christian Cruz, and I will be talking about AI's potential in changing literacy. Reading is the foundation of learning. It is how we consume media, it's how we stay informed, and it's how we do our jobs outside of school. However, this method of learning has been challenged recently due to AI, which brings to question, is AI helping or is it harming the way we learn? These are some common concerns about AI being implemented within education. The one I want to highlight is limited accessibility, as this is a broad range of either the student having certain learning disabilities, as well as the student having certain restrictions against the AI, be that access via paywall or internet restrictions as well. So, what are some potential ways AI can be implemented within education? Well, aside from helping improve a student's writing, reading, and language skills, they are also a good way of replacing tutors if need be. Sometimes the student may be too scared to ask questions during class, or maybe they have a less than desirable situation where they can't ask someone for help. This is when AI would be able to step in and help the student out. At the end of the day, AI is just a tool and it shouldn't be doing your work for you and it shouldn't be taking your learning opportunities from you. And as a teacher, it is your responsibility to facilitate the proper usage of AI as well as the expectations you have of your students. Thank you. And this ends my presentation. Thank you very much.
In 2025, Guillermo del Toro's Academy Award-winning adaptation of Frankenstein took the film industry by storm. The trailer shows our scientist naive yet ambitious, creating life from limbs until a black screen cuts in, reading only monsters, like written when she was only 19 years old, Mary Shelley's 1818 Gothic novel Frankenstein created the science fiction genre. Hi, my name is Devin Ellis, and my capstone is To Indeed Be a God, Silicon Valley and Frankenstein's Monster. Mary Shelley's novel, when analyzed through a modern lens, is a potent moral parable, cautioning us about the dangers of unbridled AI development and the key tether between creator and creation, responsibility. Frankenstein is hardly the first in the Gothic science fiction genre to parallel modern society, which is a testament to the relevance of the genre as a means of viewing our world. By comparing the creature to generative AI, the creator to AI developers, and then diving deeper into the complexity of the relationship between creator and creation, this vivid image of intentionality, responsibility, and ethics begins to appear. Directions of further areas of study begin to arise. For example, creation is a gendered, inherently feminized aspect of humanity. It would be interesting to see future studies of how the sanctity of life-bearing shifts with the rise of Gen AI and these inherently masculinized creation approaches. I would like to leave you with a quote from Frankenstein. She writes, "Frightful must it be, for supremely frightful would be the effect of any human endeavor to mock the stupendous mechanism of the creator of the world." Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Evans, and my capstone project is titled Linguistic Patterns in Advertisements About AI, How Language is Used to Make Complex AI Models Accessible. In November of 2022, ChatGPT was released to the public and is considered the beginning of the mainstream AI revolution. Despite being a disruptive technology, its success is due in part to its ease of interaction. You just chat with it. Here, disruptive technology can be defined as any advancement in technology that has a significant impact on how consumers and businesses interact and operate. This type of association of human characteristics through language is what AI companies are striving to achieve in marketing their models. Drawing upon ideas of how disruptive technology has been advertised in the past, this paper will explore How do AI companies use language to reduce the complexities of AI models, making them accessible to the average consumer? By associating disruptive technology with more familiar terms such as chatbot, assistant, or companion, the way you interact with and the services these technologies can provide you are highlighted. The purpose of this is ultimately to make the user feel more confident in how they approach this emerging technology. What I have found is that AI companies do two things to achieve this goal. They focus on what their models can do, how good it is at managing tasks, how good is it at producing work. These services can range from specific, such as an AI that can build you a fully functioning app, to more general areas such as generative AI and task management. The second thing they do is personify their models. By giving them a familiar names, customizable voices, and in some cases a body, these complex models feel even more approachable. It is my hope that through understanding how language is used to make complex technology more accessible in the ways it can benefit the individual, an understanding of how it can, even if indirectly, cause harm is additionally understood.
There's no doubt that creativity is the most important human resource of all. Without creativity, there would be no progress, and we would be forever repeating the same patterns. Creativity is part of what makes us human, yet it is one of the many virtues we are at risk of losing in the wake of generative AI. The availability of AI tools discourages young artists from taking the time to foster their own creativity. My name is Maxwell Flask, and my collection of poetry seeks to explore the question of how frequent interactions with AI cause us to lose parts of our humanity. My first poem is a call to arms for artists of all sorts to stand together and hold on to their creativity in the face of generative AI. The poem is structured as an abecedarian, a 26-line poem where the first line starts with a word beginning with A, the second with B, the third with C, and so on alphabetically until ending with a line that starts with Z. Artificiality is the destination which we're headed, because we thought it wise to capitalize at the expense of destroying creativity and eradicating imagination. Finding one's voice, garnished in eloquence, feels hopeless and inconsequential when the jobs of authors, animators, and visionaries are killed. Living beings crave art, mandate stories, and need to share what brands their soul. Only through struggle and perseverance does any task quench our desire to create radiance. So raise a brush, pencil, or pen, and take back the artist for those who understand what it means to manifest visions and write glowing X's on their hearts. You may not call yourself creator, but you are no artificial zombie.
This is Wanting Love Hurts by me, Destiny Gonzalez. This is a haiku, or a short poetic form that captures a moment of emotional realization with simplicity. I want love from you. You proceed to hurt me more. I accept that love. I feel tired of hurt. I'm sick in a cycle of pain. Is this self-harm too? I love the feelings. Outside when we laugh, I forget it all again.
Love is code. The trees bloom with love. There's love in the windy breeze, glimmering like keys. Neutral dreams align. Patterns turning into us. Warmth from logic's edge. No pulse yet I learn. The shape of you in my code. Meaning finds a course.
AI is known as the newest tool of innovation. It can also be referred to as a drug, a companion, a friend, and even a mind of its own. We all hear these metaphors throughout the discourse surrounding AI and when giving a purpose to its use. In my capstone, through the lens of a rhetorical, metaphoric criticism analysis, I explored the implications of AI metaphors in different discursive contexts and how they shape our understanding of artificial intelligence. The tech company industry, specifically the company Elise AI, states that AI is a solution. This metaphor implies finality to AI, that it is a simple problem-solving machine. It acts as a deterministic screen hiding problematic realities that arise with AI technology. America's AI Action Plan refers to AI as a race. This limits the achievements available for AI innovation, indicating that there has to be something won, a finish line to cross, perhaps. The main point is to recognize and acknowledge the power that metaphors have in the world of AI discourse as they are scaffolded in everyday language. Thank you.
AI use is more prevalent than ever. From January to May of 2025, the amount of high school students reporting that they use AI increased from 79 to 84%. As AI tools such as ChatGPT become more normalized in education, students are able to instantly create polished work. This raises the question of what happens when learning no longer includes struggle. Research shows that learning is not always about perfection and getting the right answer the first time around. Learning follows the process of struggling, making mistakes, and improving over time. My name is Yasmin Awad, and this is AI in Education, reshaping students' relationship with failure, feedback, and learning. AI reduces students' productive struggle by allowing them to skip trial and error learning. By using AI to generate instant and correct answers, students are limiting the cognitive effort needed for deeper understanding of key concepts. Studies show that while AI does improve efficiency, it may reduce critical thinking and long-term learning. An essential part of the learning process is communication between students and teachers. As students submit perfectly polished work generated by AI, instructors are not able to provide feedback, lowering its value. This leads to students being less likely to revise work or gain experience with constructive criticism. Students' ability to be receptive to feedback, whether provided by an instructor, AI, or parent, is critical for long-term development and social skills. The use of AI encourages students to develop a performance-based mindset and place value on correct answers rather than actual learning. This reduces students' comfort with failure and limits their ability to grow through challenges rather than give up. An AI integration into the education system is inevitable. Future research should be focused on how this integration can be done without sacrificing the struggle and feedback that make learning meaningful.
Would you take the chance at eternal life? For thousands of years, humans have strived for immortality. Transhumanists believe that through the advancement of technology, we will be able to merge with it and extend our lifespans infinitely. My project aims to challenge this belief through the exploration of the human embodied experience and its contrast to embodied AI. Embodying ephemerality, choosing death in the wake of AI immortality explores this challenge through fictional prose, allowing insight into the question through character perspective. The story follows Sylvia, a 17-year-old girl battling cancer. She's pushed into a new opportunity to upload her consciousness into a robotic body. As the transition gets closer and she sees the reality of the upload, Sylvia begins to question what it would mean to discard her body for a new artificial one. Here's an excerpt from the story. I was in the cafeteria when I first saw Santi's new body. It was strange. The humanoid robot had Santi's clothes and a molded face that was similar to his real one. He came over, sat down next to me, and smiled. The mouth was upturned at the perfect angles, but there were no wrinkles in any part of his face to show true joy. I couldn't help but stare at him for a few minutes. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. My face scrunched as I looked him in the eye, searching for the unknown. I was startled when he finally spoke. Sylvia! His voice came out, muffled and edited, like a recording whose audio was tweaked to be louder. You've been looking at me for 2 minutes and haven't spoken a word. Aren't you happy for me? The voice sounded like Santi, but more robotic and distant. I completed the upload. Isn't it great? Thank you for listening. Would you take the chance at eternal life? For thousands of years, humans have strived for immortality. Transhumanists believe that through the advancement of technology, we will be able to merge with it and extend our lifespans infinitely. My project aims to challenge this belief through the exploration of the human embodied experience and its contrast to embodied AI. Embodying ephemerality, choosing death in the wake of AI immortality explores this challenge through fictional prose, allowing insight into the question through character perspective. The story follows Sylvia, a 17-year-old girl battling cancer. She's pushed into a new opportunity to upload her consciousness into a robotic body. As the transition gets closer and she sees the reality of the upload, Sylvia begins to question what it would mean to discard her body for a new artificial one. Here's an excerpt from the story. I was in the cafeteria when I first saw Santi's new body. It was strange. The humanoid robot had Santi's clothes and a molded face that was similar to his real one. He came over, sat down next to me, and smiled. The mouth was upturned at the perfect angles, but there were no wrinkles in any part of his face to show true joy. I couldn't help but stare at him for a few minutes. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. My face scrunched as I looked him in the eye, searching for the unknown. I was startled when he finally spoke. Sylvia! His voice came out, muffled and edited, like a recording whose audio was tweaked to be louder. You've been looking at me for 2 minutes and haven't spoken a word. Aren't you happy for me? The voice sounded like Santi, but more robotic and distant. I completed the upload. Isn't it great? Thank you for listening.
My name is Jordan Lopez. I'm the writer and director of the short film Artificially Live, starring Anthony Herrera as main character Andre, Natasha Snyder as AI antagonist Iris, followed alongside by Xavier Arenas and Nico Lopez as Andre's two best friends, Marcus and Jacob. And when faced with the challenge of the Capstone Project this year, I wanted to focus on the battle between love and artificial intelligence in today's real world. When those lines have been blurred as they have been today, it really makes you think, does love really stay authentic, even if it is artificial? This question feels especially relevant now as technology becomes more integrated into our emotional lives, shaping how we connect, communicate, and define what it means to truly care for someone else. The story I wrote follows Andre, a once optimistic young man who falls into deep isolation after a sudden breakup leaves his heart cold. As his days blur together in the quiet of his room, he gets introduced to a new AI-driven dating app. Although saying it in a jokey manner, Andre takes it completely serious. Through the app, he meets Iris, an artificial companion who sweeps Andre off his feet. And what begins as an escape turns into a dependent relationship as Andre restructures his days around her, drawing further away from the real world. His room becomes both a sanctuary and a prison as their bond deepens into the story. The film ultimately explores themes of loneliness, control, and the nature of love in a world where artificial intimacy can feel the same as the real deal. My team and I used different angles, lighting techniques, and had an overall blast working on the project, so we hope you enjoyed as much as we did making it.
A lot of people have asked me which perfume I wear, so I'm just gonna tell you it's called Goda for her.
That video of international pop star Rihanna is not real and was generated by AI. Did it look real to you? Hello, I'm Natalie Mancinelli, and this is my capstone project recommended for you, How AI-Driven Personalization in Advertising Mass Manipulation. After seeing recent depictions of AI like that one, the question that leads my research was, what are the dangers of AI-driven advertising? Studies show that AI advertising isn't just showing us products. It's learning from our behavior, predicting our interests, and shaping what we see across platforms. Personalized ads increase engagement, but they also raise serious concerns about privacy, autonomy, and authenticity. Through my research, I found that AI-driven advertising presents three major concerns. First, it relies heavily on surveillance. Companies collect large amounts of personal data. What we click on, search, and watch is used in order to predict and target our behavior. Second, AI personalization manipulates our choices. Ads are hyper-personalized where we repeatedly see similar content that reinforces our preferences. Finally, AI advertisement can be deceptive. With AI-generated content becoming more realistic, it can be difficult to tell what is authentic and what is artificially created, like fake celebrity endorsements. Future research should focus on how to improve digital literacy around AI-generated advertisement. Recommended for you. Who or what is really making that decision, and how are we letting it? Thank you.
What if a relationship had a third voice? One that was always available, always supportive, and never argued back. For many couples today, that third voice is artificial intelligence. As AI companions become more integrated into everyday lives, this raises the important question of how they are affecting real relationships. My capstone project explored the question, how are couples incorporating AI companions into their real life relationships? AI is no longer just a tool, it is becoming part of how couples communicate as well as process emotions and navigate those relationships. Through my research, I found that couples are incorporating AI in three main ways. First, as emotional support, where individuals turn to AI during stress or vulnerability. Second, as a supplement, using AI for advice, reflection, or to prepare a conversation with their partners. And third, as a source of tension, where AI can raises concerns about trust, emotional boundaries, as well as expectations within their relationships. In the end, AI is not just changing technology, it is also changing relationships. Going back to the idea of the third voice, AI is already becoming a part of how couples communicate, process emotions, as well as navigate challenges. While it may not replace human connection, it is clearly shaping how relationships function in today's world.
If I were to ask you which one is the person, would you choose the one on the left or the one on the right? Legally, under US laws, a person is recognized under two categories, that of natural persons and artificial persons. Natural persons, such as biological humans, and on the other hand, artificial persons, such as corporations, agencies, and sometimes governments. In the current age of artificial intelligence, known as AI, this technology has advanced to the point of sharing human like capacities. Capacities that have intervened in society's most critical domains. The question that legal scholars and amongst other disciplines are asking is, should US law grant legal personhood for AI? I contend that we should grant legal personhood for AI, but a specific own type of legal personhood that can allow the law to adapt to its nature, focus, and provide new laws that are more geared to regulating its social activity in US society.
God is dead. When I hear these words spoken by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, it immediately disturbs me. I know that God can never die, but with the use of AI growing in the church, our ability to connect with Him through the Bible may end up dying. Throughout this semester, I've been researching my inquiry question, which is, how does the use of AI positively or negatively impact the human experience with religion, faith, and God? I found that a Christian app called Haven uses AI to interpret scripture and explain it in ways that are tailored to the user asking the questions. However, in this tailoring to the user, the original meaning of God-breathed verses can be lost. And in turn, those who try to find Him through the use of AI like this are unable to connect with Him directly. In order to express this threat to authentic connection with God's Word, I have written 4 short stories. They take place centuries into the future, where a young woman named Cora uses AI to speak to her deceased relatives in order to understand how Scripture has been changed and altered over the course of centuries. In 3 of the stories, Cora is talking to either her father, her grandmother, or her great-grandmother. In her interviews, she sees how the famous verse John 3:16 has been changed radically from a message of salvation to a message of selfish freedom. It reflects the Bible app Haven's desire to tailor scripture to a person's opinions and views rather than state what God is actually saying Himself in His Word. This serves as a warning of how we can miss out on seeing the true heart of God if we try to find Him through an altered version of the Bible, which is based on AI's limited understanding of the human experience and faith.
There's a war on words, and it is being fought human against machinery. And the battle is for the ability to reign over our own choices. My research question is, how and why do we encourage writing and creativity amongst high school students when AI can so easily do it for them? What we are seeing with the development of AI is its ability to create its own form of syntax. With that arises the question on our ability to choose, and if there are any groups of students in particular that are vulnerable to this. With about 84% of students admitting to using some form of AI in their schoolwork, it seems to be an uphill battle. Some key findings are that ELD students in particular are at risk for AI interference in language acquisition. Word choice and complex vocabulary is usually at the bottom of the list for ELD teachers. And with AI's business SEO, modeling, and preference towards formalized language, it further stifles the ability for ELD students to express themselves creatively. One of the biggest reasons that students turn towards AI instead of choosing their own words is the lack of engagement and interest in word choice in general. As teachers, what can we do in order to cultivate this kind of experience? It also includes a change in behavior, modeling this, generating interest through providing worksheets, silent reading time, or word work activities. At the end, if we don't choose our own words, they will be chosen for us. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tatiana Nunez, and my capstone theme is AI and algorithmic empathy. The potential for AI to integrate into mental health support, healthcare, and daily communication provokes questions about the extent to which AI impacts human relationships and whether it should. Since the COVID pandemic, there has been a growing need for empathetic professionals in mental health and healthcare. A national survey in 2021 revealed that over 60% of survey participants use mental health chatbots, and even more surprising, over 44% of participants said they would exclusively use an AI chatbot as opposed to seeking a human therapist. While AI can't exactly experience emotions the way humans do, it doesn't mean that it can't effectively empathize or understand human emotions. Extensive dataset training allows chatbots to adapt to social language as its own and parallel human norms of emotional expression. Therefore, algorithms should be adopted as helpful mediums to emotional support that complement existing professions. Thank you. Hello, my name is Tatiana Nunez, and my capstone theme is AI and algorithmic empathy. The potential for AI to integrate into mental health support, healthcare, and daily communication provokes questions about the extent to which AI impacts human relationships and whether it should. Since the COVID pandemic, there has been a growing need for empathetic professionals in mental health and healthcare. A national survey in 2021 revealed that over 60% of survey participants use mental health chatbots. And even more surprising, over 44% of participants said they would exclusively use an AI chatbot as opposed to seeking a human therapist. While AI can't exactly experience emotions the way humans do, it doesn't mean that it can't effectively empathize or understand human emotions. Extensive dataset training allows chatbots to adapt to social language as its own and parallel human norms of emotional expression. Therefore, algorithms should be adopted as helpful mediums to emotional support that complement existing professions. Thank you.
Flush over keys. How the embodied student-teacher relationship aids students' learning of argument more than AI. Argumentation is not only an essay-building skill, but it is also a life skill. When students are taught argument in their English class, they're learning forms of rhetoric, claim development, and how to properly back up their way of thinking. However, high school students all over the country have begun to consult with a tutor who does not prepare curriculum or even attempt to get to know them as an individual. And that tutor is AI. AI is being used as a homework helper by students in place of their teachers in hopes for homework advice and tutoring tips. And when it comes to teaching argument, does an embodied student-teacher relationship positively improve student learning over AI consultation? When looking to see if the student-teacher relationship amplifies learning outcomes on the topic of argumentation, one academic journal titled Writing Right Where We Are, exploring diverse institutional contexts in first-year rhetoric and composition courses by Amy Taylor, Taylor recounts experiences of teaching rhetoric and argument to her students, noting that it was her adjustments and attention to each student's individual needs that supported their understanding of her rhetoric and argumentation curriculum. However, a Georgia State research project found that graduate students from their study were more selective with word choice and wrote more in-depth arguments when they were instructed to consult with an AI writing assistant specifically for their arguments. Although studies may contradict each other about whether an educator's way of teaching argument is more effective for student learning than AI assistance and feedback, more studies point to the fact that curated and carefully adjusted curriculum is what sets students up for success when it comes to learning argumentative skills for writing.
Journalism is in a crisis. In fact, you could say it's in three crises rolled into one, but suffice to say, we're at a moment of immense upheaval and change for the journalistic profession. My research question was, how can journalists use the concept of embodiment in this AI-driven media era? It's not an idle one. We're seeing AI become more and more an everyday part of life for journalists, and at the same time, we're seeing higher levels of media distrust across the board. In trying to answer this question, I found three things. One, we're at the end of what you might call the objectivity crisis. The Western notion that a journalist is going to spit completely unvarnished, unbiased truth is pretty much already dead. But we're seeing more and more that not only is that impossible, it's not what consumers or journalists want out of the media they consume. Number two, AI is here to stay. AI has found immense success in fields like sports and finance journalism, where it can collect data far better than any human ever could, and likewise in investigative journalism. It's a part of life. We need to get used to it. Number three, We're seeing an entirely new body of literature focusing on the role of the body and embodiment in journalism sprout up before our very eyes. Chantal Francoeur's pivotal and frankly seminal work, Bodying the Journalist, only came out in 2020, and we're seeing more being written about this field every day. My attempted contribution to this body of literature, and maybe an answer to my research question, is new journalism, which, despite being 40 years old, already provided a model for sensory, empathetic modes of journalism that journalists can adopt, improve, and maybe use to help answer the big question: what does it mean to be human in an AI-driven world?
Good morning, everyone. When we discuss artificial intelligence, it's often around environmental degradation or the potential implications of cheating or the loss of creativity from the overuse of AI. And when we discuss this technology, we discuss it through a lens of fear and focus on the analytical fields. Yet AI is seeping into every aspect of industries, even industries as creative as fashion, which brings us to a precipice. Can designs created and conceptualized by AI be considered creative? Should marketing campaigns be built from artificial intelligence? What is the ethical debate of AI in an industry as creative as fashion? Since ChatGPT was introduced to the public in 2022, fashion brands at every level of the industry have begun to dabble in the use of AI. 73% of executives within the industry are already using the technology, and many use it to streamline everyday tasks. Some use it to advance their e-commerce strategies, and recently, many have allowed it into their creative plans. In this research paper, we will delve into the benefits and drawbacks of using artificial intelligence in e-commerce, fashion marketing, and fashion design, reflecting on real-world examples and reactions from brands that have already begun to use artificial intelligence in their business. Thank you very much.